The next question will go to Ms. Monfett. What do you think is the single biggest challenge facing the Waltham Public Schools today, and how would you address this challenge? The single most pressing issue facing the Waltham Public Schools today.
If I were to have to choose one issue, I would probably need to lead towards the overcrowding happening in some of our elementary schools and the present enrollment in our kindergarten classes. And without a plan put in effect moving forward, it will reach our middle school and our high school. And we really need to be proactive and not just moving classes from one school to another to accommodate that year's numbers, but really think ahead for the future of Waltham and the students here and the teachers on providing the best learning environment for all. And I would think that that right now seems to be a very large concern of mine, since our elementary schools and most schools are only 6 or so years old.
Thank you. I'm going to repeat a question from Mr. Randall, who is not an incumbent but has served on the committee in the past. Again, it's the question about the quorum, and it's been on the minds of a lot of people. The school committee 2 years ago voted to approve a measure where 4 members could constitute a quorum, allowing 3 members, that is 50% of the committee, to pass an item. Do you believe it is wise to allow fewer than a majority of committee members to pass items? And perhaps you could give us an illustration of.
I have to say, Mr. Steinberg, that Mrs. Limoncello answered that question very well, okay? The reason that happened, the reason the vote was taken to allow 4 members of the school committee to conduct business was because an emergency issue might arise where action had to be taken. This usually a summer-type thing. I can't think of one specific issue at this time, but
You could make a hypothetical issue.
Maybe a personnel issue, some problem with staff or something like that, and some action had to be taken. Seriously, the school committee takes their presence on the school committee very seriously, okay? It's very seldom that we don't have most of the members there, either because of a work issue and they're out of town, is what happens, and then the mayor will call for an emergency meeting. If it's that serious an issue, oftentimes the school committee member will say, I'm going to wait till the rest of the other school committee members return because they were part of this particular issue. They were involved in it, they were very familiar with it, so I vote to table this issue. And that has happened. But things do happen, and you've got to take action on the issue, and that's why that came about.
Thank you. My next question will go to Ms. Burstein. If Waltham were to seek applicants, and we do, of course, for teaching and/or administration, what would be the attractive features our community schools have to offer? I'll just put a postscript on this. I have been to seminars and workshops and courses at some of the local prestigious, this is in the past when I was teaching, some of the local prestigious schools of education, and they have prominent advertisements for teaching applicants and for administrative applicants there. And the advertisements speak glowingly of their communities, obviously, right? So I'm going to ask you, what would Waltham speak of in trying to attract premium candidates for teaching or administrative positions, as per the public schools, or maybe beyond the public schools?
I want to answer that in two parts. One is what would we speak of, and one is what we experience. We have a school system that is under-recognized. I think the quality of our teachers, the collaboration of our teachers, when people come here, I have a friend who grew up in Newton, got her master's degree at BC. All of her friends are teaching in Newton, is now at the Fitzgerald School, and it tells all of her friends, you guys just don't get it. We have smaller classes, we have more professional development, we have a better relationship with the administration, and I think that, I mean, obviously, may not be entirely universally shared, but I think that does exist. When new principals have come in and talked about the quality of their colleagues. We clearly offer excellent benefits. We do indeed provide a tremendous amount of professional education that other communities don't pay for, don't provide, and I think that is a real asset. However, our reputation precedes us, and the turnover that we have had, and what people say when they leave because of the instability in our system makes it difficult, regardless of what we say about the quality of our teachers and our offerings and our student body, makes it difficult to attract the kind of people that we want, and indeed is part of why we can't retain them.
Thank you. I think it might be interesting to repeat this question for Ms. Dowsett, who has not been on the school committee in the past. I'll repeat the question. Surrounding communities with reputation for outstanding student accomplishment regularly solicit applications at prestigious local colleges with strong graduate programs in the field of education. They boast of their student scores on standardized tests, of low teacher-student classroom ratios, highly competitive salary scales. If Waltham were to seek applicants for teachers or administrators in such a way, what would be the attractive features of our community schools and of our community to encourage them to apply?
I have a unique perspective in answering this because I've been a teacher in Waltham, and I can say from my experience, similar to what Ms. Burstein was saying, the faculty, the teaching staff in Waltham it gets no better. I had nothing but the most sort of supportive and inspiring relationships with my colleagues. Teachers were completely dedicated. Nobody more committed to the well-being of their kids than the teachers that I know in Waltham, and doing really innovative things. So, most recently we had the Waltham Reads Initiative. That was an effort by 2 high school teachers to bring together the whole community around reading one book. There were, I could list a million things. There was an initiative where I believe it was an Italian teacher brought her students to meet some elderly Italian people in the community and talk about their experience and share Italian. So the commitment of the teachers is amazing, and you won't find any better or more committed or more talented teachers elsewhere. And I think Waltham is an amazing city. It's really rich in diversity, in resources, in interesting things to do. Moody Street is unbelievably vibrant and dynamic, and I think a lot of our students take pride in living in Waltham, and I think, teachers can take that pride as well. So I believe the actual city of Waltham is a selling point.
Thank you. And I'm sure that concludes this round. So what I'd like to do at this point is to hear closing comments from each candidate. Because we have a few extra moments, I'm going to allow 3 minutes rather than a mere 2 minutes but please don't exceed 3 minutes in length. And I think we'll begin the closing comments with Ms. Limoncello.
Thank you. Before I say my closing comments, I would like to have a little plug to whoever's listening that the school committee would love these chairs because our chairs in Cannon Hall are really uncomfortable. Anyways, being a good representative of the Waltham Public Schools is more than attending a meeting twice a month. It's creating and supporting our policies, working as a team, adhering to our protocols, researching problems, and keeping open lines of communication with administration, and most importantly, ensuring the needs of all our students are being met. As a school committee member, I will continue to work very hard to support the district and be an advocate for all the wonderful students, staff, and families we have in Waltham. I am proud of spending my life here and raising my family in this city. We are not perfect here in Waltham, and I make no excuses for that, but I can tell you that if you elect me for another term, I will continue to work hard to get to perfection. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll go on to Ms. Monfett.
I just want to thank everyone for inviting me here again this evening, and I want to say that if elected as your new school committee member, I will work very hard to bring all of my energy and thoughts and ideas as a teacher, as well as a parent and as a community member, to a team and work together. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Randall, please.
Yes, I would just ask people to remember that through my experiences in the Waltham school system, I'm very familiar with all facets of the school system. I will continue to follow my policy. I will visit the school several times a year, and I will talk with all staff members to get their concerns that I feel as though I can address with the school committee. As well, I have and I will continue to respond to all phone calls and all emails until resolution occurs. In addition to the questions that you asked, Mr. Steinberg, I just want to say that I have some personal concerns of mine. One is the enforcement of the bullying policy that I feel that I had a part in producing for the school system. I'm concerned about that. I haven't been on the school committee for 2 years, but I still get phone calls from parents concerned because they feel it's not being enforced properly. Bullying has a terrible effect on the learning environment for children. I'm also concerned about safety for these children. I'm very interested in the ALICE program. I'm going to follow that up very thoroughly. I'm concerned about mandatory reporting, and I'm also concerned about an inadequate policy that I believe we presently have on handling trauma within the school system. And by that I mean that when something terrible happens and the children are all distressed, I think we need a consistent policy as to how that should be handled in all the buildings, and I believe that's through the special ed department, something I have followed with and I will continue to follow. And I thank everybody.